So, people have been telling me that it's important in today's game to have a spread of scores, that you can't just be relying on one or two or three men. Everyone needs a chip in. Players are reeling it off in interviews, the main men saying that it's not just about them, the lesser lights saying that they need to step up to the plate as well. It's even dripped into punditry now. They need more players who can take a score. I'm sure I've even said it on many occasions. 11 different scores, that really shows. What does it show? Now I'm wondering, do managers really care who scores or how many different people score, as long as they are getting scores? After 3 games in the National Football League, the spread of scores is looking something like this. From teams with 9 different players registering a goal or a point, to teams with 15 different players registering a goal or a point. That's a 2/3 increase, and over the course of just 3 games, that's a really big difference. It hasn't correlated with league position though. Derry, sitting top of Division 2, the highest score difference by a distance across the top 2 divisions, only have 9 different scores. Dublin, joint top with them in Division 2, have 14 different scores. They've also won all 3 of their games. Limerick, down here beside Derry, are sitting at the bottom of Division 2 and are in big trouble. And then Roscommon, flying high at the top of Division 1, sitting right here in the middle between 9 and 15 on 12 different scores. And Tyrone are leading the way with 15 different scores, and I think that's always been the annoying thing about Tyrone. They're a county of really accurate footballers. Obviously though, those stats can be misleading with a lot of 1-point merchants scattered in there. So what if we looked at each county's over-reliance or just reliance on their main scorer? Meath, as you can see here, are the least reliant on any one scorer, and actually they have 3 joint top scorers in Shane Walsh, Jordy Morris and Donal Lenihan. They're in free scoring form under rock and roll Colin O'Rourke. Derry are the team who are relying on one scorer the most, in that he has the highest percentage of their scores. Shane McGuigan has 20 of Derry's 54 scores so far, but in fairness, Shane McGuigan is the best footballer in Ireland, so it makes sense that you would give him the ball all the time. Cork are right up there too with Stephen Sherlock, and Louth only have 2 players, Sam Mulroy and Darren McConnon, who have scored more than 3 points so far. In Division 1, perhaps Kevin McStay's greatest success in his entire managerial career has been turning the narrative of Mayo need a new forward into Ryan O'Donoghue needs some help. Mayo, Armagh, Derry, Tyrone, Cork and Louth are the only teams who have a forward who scored over 30% of their total scores so far. Kerry are the least reliant on any one player, but might be down to a couple of absences. Speaking of which, Galway in total are comfortably the division's lowest scorers. They're actually one of the entire league's lowest scorers, and that's threatening to breathe life into the school of thought that they're too reliant on Shane Walsh, Damien Comer and Rob Finnerty. That's a lot of players in one forward line to be relying on. I think you're allowed to hope that half of your forward line isn't wiped out. And I think that Galway showed last year that throughout the entire championship, in every single game without fail, one of these players stepped up and really lit the place up. If they're going into an All-Ireland this summer, looking to go one better, and relying on Finnerty, Comer and Shane Walsh, I think that's fair enough that they're hoping that they're not injured. They would be really unlucky to be missing all 3 of them like they are at the minute. The spread of scorers isn't as important as having these scorers. There's a big difference between the really honest guy who will chip in with 2 valuable points every game and someone who will damage the scoreboard heavily and consistently. But final thought, don't write off Monaghan just yet. They've got a spread of scores, but they've got a spread of really heavy scores. So much so that 3 of their players so far have scored more than Jack McCarron and Conor McManus. They're not relying on those guys anymore, but they are relying on a ton of other heavy ammunition. Vinnie Corey might just be working on something special, bringing that spread that everybody wants and adding a pile of heavy scores to that spread. Now they can just stop their defence being one of the leakiest in the country. They might be onto something.